Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the canyon. Welcome to a delightful, soft hue, which I hope is being translated post-edit. Welcome back to another installment of the Quickview series. Today's Quickview, we're back in the Class 1s again. The Scrambler, the RC4 wheel-drive Scrambler. And if you see that shine, you know everything's going to be fine, because this tire is not made out of the compound no one asked for. It is not X2S3. It is X2SS. Kind of treppy. It's a little treppy. We will see. But it's X2SS. And I have yet to meet an X2SS tire that I don't like. Why do I like X2SS? Well, we'll give it a little one of these. Ladies and gentlemen, it's X2SS. It is, of course, as a Class 1, it is going on our good buddy, the Lord Pentabee, first of his name, as soon as we wait for that thing to return to tire shape. As is the fashion here, 3 have already been mounted and mounted. They are on the wheels and on the vehicle. And there are the things you need to know about X2SS, and particularly the X2SS of the Scrambler. That is, no ribbing, no belting, none of that. What's unfolding before you, figuratively and literally, is a crawler tire. That is a tire for rock crawling. Not just no ribbing, no belting. The center carcass in between the lugs is, I mean, I wish I could get something. I wish I could get this to work somehow. Maybe if we do it like this. I should have thought this out more ahead of time. It's pretty sticky. It only wants to stick to my finger. You see that right there? That is a punch. That's the punch that comes out of the tire when I punch the vent holes. It is about 1.5 millimeters thick, as is evidenced by the bit that just rolled away. There's a 1.5 millimeter bit. Yeah, we're right about there. But it is so soft. Any amount of pressure on it, you can squeeze it down to about 0.6 millimeters. So it is very thin, it is very gummy, it is very sticky. So these are bordering on infuriating to mount, as they do have a reasonably substantial bead edge on them. That doesn't tend to translate. Also, when we feel from the top across to the side, it is uniform thickness. So, do you know how Vanquish makes a very soft compound and makes their tires too thin? Well, these guys can get away with it because look how short the tire is. Look how little sidewall there is. We already get into that lug. The actual part of deformable sidewall is like 12 millimeters. So you can get away with something super soft and super squishy. And also it enables you to run a firmer insert. Most of the foams that come with RC4 wheel drive tires are bricks. These were kind of in the middle, a little stiffer than a J-Concepts medium, but under the weight of a hard body, I would still consider to be too soft. So they're getting a good old Injora blue silicone, and the Injora blue silicone fits just about perfect. And it being a little stiffer is going to help accommodate how mushy. Like the sidewalls are sticky. When they were set in a pile before I mounted them up to the vehicle, they'll all just stick together. One way to tell for sure is it just getting the parts of the bead lock in. It just wants to stick to itself. And if you have mounted these successfully in the past without using bubble juice or any sort of helper, God bless you. You have to make sure to, and because it's so thin, it doesn't want to obey. It doesn't want to stay on the shelf. I am making a passenger front, which needs to go this way. And unlike some others, usually I kind of wring the dauber out before we bubble juice. No, you want this slathered down. We're gonna get Susan is probably going to get a little wet this morning from this. I mean, once you get the parts in, it goes together fine, but getting that front half of the beadlock started. This is, and it's not one of those issues. This is kind of a thing of X2SS. Yeah, that was pushed in too far. That it's not that you get the front of the beadlock in and it keeps squirting a bead out. No. Once the bead is sandwiched in between the face and the ring, that's not coming out. You're never going to pop a bead. It's the actual getting the rim into the wheel on the first try. And then if you try to unmount these, dismount? Unmount? Dismount is getting off of something. Unmount. When you try to unmount these too quickly, or, run them for a couple times and then try to dismount them, the tires will have welded themselves to the beadlocks. I've had to use a hairdryer to get them off before. They do not fall together. I'm trying to pull the edge of the beadlock out so that I can get this in. And it is possible to mess it up. It is possible to get part of the bead wedged outside the inner ring. And because they're so soft, you almost kind of can't tell right away. You have to wait for the tire to sort of return to a tire-like shape. But there's no need to cross-tighten any of that. I'm a little questionable about that poof right there. They all mounted exactly the same. There were no surprises. Mounting a set of Baja claws is pretty much exactly the same. You just soap them up and hope for the best. And if we were smart and or responsible, or some small combination of the two, which we're not, if you mount a tire and then leave it mounted for, a couple hours, like the ones that are already on the vehicle, we would have really no worry of any sort of bead slippage. I don't have any concerns of bead slippage because X2SS is like mounting chewed bubblegum. Once it is on, it is on. I don't know if I've ever pulled one out of a bead. So the compound is appropriately soft, appropriately thin. We should have excellent shoulder. The question is, like on the bench, this always feels too stiff, right? But then we got to remember, he's like 7.5, almost 8 pounds. We're putting some load down on the tire. I have not seen him setting on these, so I don't know if we're gonna get any bag. Little bit, see a little pooch, a little tiny. I can, a little tiny bit. Those do look good though, do they not? Do those look good? They do. I am hopeful. Y'all, we won't use the wet one. Someday, somebody's gonna holler out and be like, "You're supposed to use the tire sizer." And not only that, I moved Susan, so we got to use the tire sizer up in the air. I'd call it 107. You could maybe say 108. I'm gonna go 107, which is 419. As close enough as to be. Width, I'd call that dead 40. Would you call that dead 40? 40 millimeters wide on that guy. That's it. You know what that is? That's a class 1 tire. We're going to take them out. We're going to run them through the protocol. We're going to see. What do we got? I also did not do my due diligence before I started cutting into them and mounting them up. But then I did. I did go on A-Main and look them up. I judged the age of a product on when added to A-Main catalog. Yeah, September 30th, 2016. This is not a new release, everybody. That's what we do around here. We will test anything, even if it's been discontinued. These have not been discontinued. They're $26 a pair on A-Main right now if you so chose to buy them. But, I mean, at this point in the video, I don't think anybody's putting them in their A-Main cart yet, right? Am I correct in that assumption? So, let's go do the things and see if they are cart-worthy. Ugh, that's terrible. All right, scramblers, let's scramble. I don't know if it's just that most of the testing stuff, and, well, no, he was on small tires. I feel like this guy is super composed this morning. We also have beat the blindingness of the early morning sun. We're a little ahead of schedule. It's right it is right there. That's pumpkin. Okay. Try to get it this way. Can I position over? Yeah. Okay, blue, hair too stiff. Right there, see it? But that is as telling as it just fell into the grooves in the board. That is as telling as anything, because when you get into that spot, if you have to increase throttle, bad. If you can cut throttle and creep real slow, good. So we will give it the benefit of the doubt here early on, because the tire and the insert haven't really started to get to know each other yet. Oh, I got it. Come on, brain. Switch to class 1. We get a little bink and bonk on the way down, but for the most part, okay, it's going to pull the shuttle. Oh! No, it's going to turtle. Just trying to remember, what is the last thing I wheeled that was class 1? Oh. A little slow, little in between. Right there. This is less than 2 minutes in. This is a great class 1 tire. It is really responsive. Oh, and also, doesn't it hurt? It stings at the same time, right? We have seen quite a fair number of class 1 tires released between 2016 and now. This one so far is really quite good. One might say, well, it's not just killing that forward pull. Well, you gotta give it a minute. And I don't mean in the terms of everyone chiming in on when a tire doesn't do well and I say it's not doing well, they say, oh, well, that tire's got to break in. Every tire gets better when it breaks in. So if it starts off less good, it's going to break in, but it's never going to reach that level of greatness. So when we get to right here, and I'm trying to pull that right there, and you see, couldn't do it a minute ago. This is the difference between a tire that does sort of poorly in a Quickview, and somebody says, oh, well, you just got to run it. You got to put 80 hours of runtime onto it. Well, let's be honest. Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't want to wait 80 hours for my tire to be good. I want it to be at least decent now. And just from a couple loops around, the tire and the insert are getting to know each other. And come on, it's X2SS. That's fully on the belly. So I'm just trying to use that rear tire. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. In my mind, and the way we've structured the testing accordingly, a class 1 has a different set of expectations put on it than a class 2 or a class 3. It's going to have to handle weight, and it's going to have a much smaller contact patch, so there's going to be a lot higher PSI. The requirements of a class 1 are a lot different than the requirements of other tires. And this guy is doing A-okay so far. I mean, it might just fall apart on us, but I doubt that it will. I said I've never met an X2SS I don't like, and so far that continues. We've already had one unnecessary trip because I walked all the way over here set up and had forgotten the scoreboard. Scorecard? Scorecard. Let's go with a card. Again, when we get in a little mire like that, I want to see what the tires can do when separated from one another. In this situation right here, the fronts, we're kind of teetering on the center of the chassis. The fronts are trying to pull, the rears are trying to push. Neither are in a particularly high traction environment due to the transfer of weight. Get that skid off. But the drive, you get sticky bubblegum drive once you get that tire into a slot where it can grab. It comes down to that classification of what I call driver's tires. The Scrambler has just enough chevron in it that it makes no effort to guide you. A lot of tires will decide where they're going to go, and you get to try to follow or you get to try to fight. The Scrambler does not do that. It will just pull straight unless you tell it not to. That's what I want out of a tire. Every time I drive one of these little tiny RC four-wheel drive offerings, all I can think is, why aren't you making these in other sizes? And there's a reason. That is a big mosquito. Oh, he's on the camera. I can't like whack the camera to get him off. We'll just let him hang out. Because if you we've learned this from others. There are few examples. There was no hesitation, none. All throttle control all the way up. I try to do it with mostly throttle control and not a lot of attitude adjustment. Just let it pull. Continuing thought. In general, you can't just take a tire that you like and make it whatever size you'd like. It doesn't work. There are, of course, exceptions to that rule. The Tusk is pretty effective in every size, but what we have seen sort of across the board, a semi-visible pattern hiding underneath the data is that some tires do really well at a particular size. The ratio, what do they call it? Aspect. The aspect ratio of a tire is important. So the height of the sidewall relative to the width of the tire, there's definitely a ratio there. I'm not 100% sure what the ratio is. Like, you know, in a real world car, 40 series, 50 series. When you just take a tire, and many manufacturers are guilty of this, and you just blow the size up or shrink the size down, the one that pops into mind most recently is the S4 comp pin from Injora. They made a class 1 size, and they just basically scaled down the class 2. The sidewalls are too thick, the main tread is too thick, the tire does not comply. It needs to be half the thickness. It needs to be this. It needs to be what I'm pointing at from behind the camera. It needs to be paper thin so that the insert can do the work of maintaining the side hill strength. And then the pins will have the ability to conform. He's so deep and so leaned right there that I anticipate a lean because the transition to yellows at the end of this is the festival of grip and slip. And all we have right now is grip. We have so much side load on the grip. Look at the driver rear. It is undeflected. It's not rolling. We can't, might have to turn down. Oh, that's set down? There's no way that's set down. There we go. Oh, I almost had it. Again. So we have, if anything, in the side hill, we have an abundance of grip. That is actually that's gonna hurt your side hill a little bit. No tire is the best at everything. These are so good at gripping on the side hill that they're suffering in the transition on the side hill. Stuff like that can be addressed through tuning. There's no such thing as a tire with too much grip, in my estimation, because you can tune that grip. If a tire doesn't have enough grip, you can't tune grip in. No insert can make a bad tire good. And by the same token, I'm not even saying that a good tire can make a good insert can make a good tire better. It can, when you get that relationship fully sussed. Now, a silicone is a Swiss Army knife. Like, it's going to fit a bunch of tires. If we have a class 1 of a reasonably appropriate size, we can throw an Injora silicone in there and it'll be pretty good. something bespoke, something in a dual stage foam, something 3D printed, you can get an insert that is perfectly tailored to the tire and the vehicle. This isn't necessarily it. So it's not that there's a glaring advantage of a tire being fitted with a silicone for a test. We got a little bit of dust on it there on the ride over, so we got a little bit of slip that allowed that shuttle to happen. Once again, the tire, there we go, cut it. Don't fall in the bucket. Oh, that hold right there. Oh, I said don't fall in the bucket. This is axle snapper town right here. I think we, you know what? I think we've pinned the axles. I don't know if anyone has been right there before. Yeah, it was perfect. One rock was pinning the rear pumpkin and one rock was pinning the front. Diamond Pros are slippery, but they're not magical. And I think even this many minutes in, I'm still not in a full Class 1 mindset. Little bit of hop, but I can feel it. We'll allow it. We'll allow it. I'm basically just waiting for the tire to do something unexpected. But it is so much grip delivered consistently. That's nice right there. We're getting a lot of three-wheel motion here, as if on demand. I don't know if you're going to be able to self-right your way out of that one, dude. I can see the movement of the chain link. We got the bumper stuck into the fence. So at least for me, the Scrambler so far has proven a tire that it can get you out of trouble, but can actively get you into trouble. And trouble that you might not be familiar with. So trouble that I've been incapable of extricating myself from on more than one occasion. I'm not going to complain about too much grip. We're hanging up because the last thing I wheeled around here had Tusk LPs on portals. And now we're driving Class 1s on straight axles. It is a whole new world. I'll figure it out before we're done. Remind yourself, it's not going to break over as well. It's a 107 tire and straight axles. There we go. We're doing it. We're doing it. Okay. Now, are they going to have enough pull to get that stuck skid off? How about enough pull, enough for forward drive to not even notice? Okay, going to have to use some attitude here for the pirouette because I can see the bumper hanging up. All right. Back it up here. Can we pull it across the side? Yeah, no problem. Bumper stuck again. Remember, you're driving Class 1s, please. You're going to have to find the spot where that bumper fits. There you go. We're going to rewind the back up. Pulled a little SpongeBob SquarePants driving test there. And what do we do if the front end's bound up? Floor it? No. Floor it? So we floored it. Okay. Coming down. Oh! Okay. Little bobbly weight transfer there. A little bobbly weight transfer there. Let's see if we can position this. It's just... yeah, it's great. I have a burgeoning love for this tire because I know what it's going to do. That little rear suspension unload caught me a little bit off guard. But like when I'm going to maneuver this, I know that if I put it in the line, it's going to go. Just got to get the front end moved over right there. If a tire is compliant, and we mean that, it's a double factor. Compliant in that it allows deflection on the rocks to maintain grip. Compliant in that you say, I want to spin this right across here. I want to spin it tight. We're riding the rails right there. Okay, I don't want to drop in too far. Look at that nose end settle. This is like worst case scenario for something with a body this heavy. Okay, we're gonna pull it back here. Might be a little tight. Oh, I got too cute with it. I got too cute with it. But again, no such thing as too much grip, right? We're gonna clear that? I think we're gonna clear that. So what you gotta look at is not the capability of the nut behind the wheel. You gotta look at the capability of the tire. This tire it's gonna get a score that I don't think is accurately indicative of how fond I am of it. It's gonna be too objective of a score. These are rapidly climbing the list of my favorite class ones. Quickly. Just completed today's pucker you up moment as I set down camera 1, went back to retrieve camera 2, turned around and camera 1 was listing like this as one of the legs of the tripod was sinking into a gopher hole. Okay, all right. I didn't really go into that. It's so bright, I couldn't tell which side I was aiming for. Okay, so this is too far left for the right line and too far right for the left line. Let's pull right there. Oh. That is good to see. When you get a belly up like that, we bellied up like 4 times and managed to pull free. Now, let's see, can we just go straight into soft side without repositioning? Ooh. Oh, bumper. That's the first time I got shuttled. I got properly shuttled right there. Is the Achilles heel here Daphne's? Or is it the fact that I'm sticking one bumper or the other in at all times? Yeah, it's the bumper sticking thing, because I didn't feel any untoward weight transfers there. You know what you need to do? Pay attention. Oh, man, he just... Sack of potatoes. Like a sack of potatoes. Different vehicles are different. Isn't that wild? No hesitation. Oh! Okay, full blast. It won't kick. It won't kick. I know it's a strange thing to say, but I could do that all day. That bump though. And not just a bump though, this. When you can do that and do this, that's something. That is definitively a thing. We should be able to flop super easy because he's been... Hey! That. Okay. Windshield fell out. I was like, I hear something clattering around the vehicle. There we go. We'll glue that back in. I'll just put that in my pocket. That's what pockets are for. Does he have a performance advantage now with no windshield? I don't think so. Okay, we'll try the velocity whip here. Oh, stayed on it too tight. Ho! That was nice. That was nice. There's a proper side lug on here, and we're seeing it. We'll go for the catch. Oh yeah, he's better on the high velocity swirl. This one, that's 10 times out of 10. You're gonna pop that. Most tires are better one way or the other. Stayed up too high again. Oh, maybe needs a little bit more available throttle. We keep the test rig set at 50% reverse, mostly to test the ability to self-right at that amount of available throttle. Okay, I gotta write a bunch of numbers down. Comfortable with that. Comfortable with that. Comfortable with that. He pulled some scores right there. I don't know how set in Teardrop is, and I have pretty good feelings about wet. It's gonna be a solid score. This score is going to be solid. I think it's safe to say that I'm both surprised and not surprised that I self-righted him out of his own windshield. Okay, this is cocoa powder over here. Using that low. Trying to use that side lug. Bring us across. Oh yeah, that's nice. That is like powder. Any excess application of throttle in here is just gonna dig. These are great. Are they my favorite? Have these unseated the mallet? Well, unseated in what way? Have they unseated it score-wise? I think maybe. Have they unseated it like my favorite Pro Line is the flat iron. Is the flat iron XL. I like the look of it. It is not the highest scoring Pro Line tire by any measure. Just like it. Right behind that, 2.2 Baja Pro X. Not a blow you away tire. There are better options for less money. There are significantly better options for more money. But I like the look of the Pro X. It looks better scaled up. I don't like the 1.9 Pro X at all. This one, I think, at least in terms of just number, is gonna take it. This is gonna be well up there. Probably well up there even for RC four-wheel drive. Certainly in Class 1s. Maybe, I don't know if we're going to hit Class 1 megalithic. The Class 1 megalithic just has this amount of drive to it. Even higher than this. But this looks like a tire. So if it's taking something for the look and the performance, like why I choose a flat iron, it's the Scrambler. I would not put megalithics on a Blazer. It would look weird. I would put these Scramblers on here in a heartbeat. It's going to be difficult for me to take these Scramblers off of here. I really liked the pivots, but this is better. And not just a little. We do need to let it have another bite at Slick Rock after we've gotten some tire insert cooperation. Yeah, okay, I need to see that again. One of his lowest scores was the pure forward drive straight out of the box because, I'm going to take this out of my pocket if you don't mind. I've stabbed myself with it like 4 times already. And I don't know if that score was accurately representative. I'm trying to get that thing stuck. Okay, too much. Back around right here. I want to go right there. Yeah, you got it. Is that worth a 10th? I'll let this determine right here. Whoop. We'll try this one. Shuttle cut. Cut back this way. Oh. Okay. Yeah. All right. We're gonna do a little erase here. My dry erase marker that I choose for this is now no longer black. It's like charcoal gray. I do leave it in the garden shed, which routinely gets to like 115 degrees, but there you go. I guess it will turn your markers not. Is that the right way? We need to be like right now. The nozzle has spun a little bit on my Econo sprayer here. I want to get it nice and let's slick that Slick Rock. There we go. We'll get some water down at the bottom. It's going to be a mess one way or the other. Historically, X2SS has done pretty good It cleaned the rock off a little bit. I honestly, there's that spot where we get it hung, okay? Okay, here's the spot where I counter it back. Let's try that same side shuttle right here. We come in between these two. We want to get the front end to come over. Get the front end right there. Try to grab with that high side tire. The slick rocks are very slick at this point. Tires are as wet as they're gonna get. Come across back. A little low throttle. Think I'm using a little too much steering input. Oh, that was nice. Oh. At the most, I can deduct a 10th off of the dry score for the wet. An argument could be made that it's effectively the same. So once again, we are rocking the Empire. This number came out and it worked out 96.7 kcal. Rocking the Empire. We've got a 3/10 deviation. Best they did, 9.8. Dropped a pair of 9.8s in self-righting and bump. Now, one might say, oh, well, there's the advantage of the silicone inserts. Perhaps, probably, and perhaps. I think it's still reasonable. It's under $20 for a set of those inserts. Like, let's allow it. Testing on, I'm trying to think of a number. 2? I think we've tested 2 RC4WD drive tires on the inserts that they come with because most of the time they're just awful. Abject failures. The thing is scattered with 9.7s. The only thing that kept this tire from getting a 97, an even 97, was the performance on the side hill. And I think that's fair because the amount of grip that the tire has was fine out on the middle of the side hill. It's not like I got a terrible score on the side hill. It was fine out in the middle, but that transition is going to be really difficult because no matter how much load went onto that tire, it wasn't going to deflect. Now, if it did deflect, it would have just rolled out faster. So this isn't an insert issue. This is a tire issue. This is the behavior of the tire. The tire has an excess amount of grip in that particular situation. That excess amount of grip, you saw this thing go three-wheel motion multiple times. That excess amount of grip will work to your favor most of the time, just not all of the time. And here we are. That self-right and that bump were amazing. As I said, it will be very difficult for me to separate these tires from this rig. He's a test guy. He shouldn't have like this good of a tire, but it's not like this is a premier tire. They're $26 a pair and they've been around since 2016. So maybe it is an option. Maybe, I don't know. Time will tell, and I will give myself time to decide. While I'm taking that time to decide, I would like to thank you all so very much for joining us here in the canyon. I invite you to come on back to see whatever we have next. I do sincerely thank you for being here, and then I hope that in between now and when we meet again, you one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We will see you again here from the canyon very soon. Lord Pennaby had a good day. Is this his first tire test since the G-Made tire test debacles? It might be. So he deserved today. He earned this. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.